With the Owl House coming to an end on April 8, which is about 2 weeks from now, it's fair that we speculate just a bit more regarding what will happen in this finale. To be honest, I cannot really make any confident predictions on what will happen, except for one, which is that it's nearly certain that at least one character will die at the end of this finale. Every now and then, at least one person will believe that
no one will die in the show because it's a Disney show.
But keep in mind, the Owl House is tonally darker than most Disney shows, and even shows that are supposedly more lighthearted, like Amphibia for example, were willing to show characters get killed, and rather gruesomely by the way. So seeing a character death is definitely something to expect in this finale. The question is, who is most likely to not make it out of this finale alive? Well, off the bat, I can also say with high likelihood that Bellows will bite the dust by the time the show ends. After everything he has done and what he has been through, he deserves to have a gruesome death. Seriously, I do not really see much of an alternative for how his story arc will end. He is way too far gone to be redeemed at this point. Of course, the closest punishment to death that Bellows could also have is indefinite imprisonment, like what the Collector experienced. But knowing how the Collector was able to break free from their prison, Bellows could do the same. The protagonists of the show know that the only way to neutralize him is to kill him. Also, the guy is over 400 years old. He has lived long enough. Of course, Bellows being killed off is something that most of us believe will happen. Again, other shows have killed off their main antagonists as well. But then there's the question of characters who are likely to make it to the end of the show alive, but still have a chance of experiencing some sort of death. What I mean by that is that a character may seem to have died for a brief moment, but then we are relieved to find out they're actually okay. The most likely character who will experience this fate is Luz. As much as most of us don't want to see her bite the dust, when you look at her arc, it appears that the show is setting up a pseudo-death scene for Luz. Throughout the show, and especially season 2 onwards, she has expressed immense guilt over her actions, and this guilt is something that has been consuming Luz for the past 2 specials in season 3. Based on what we have seen in the most recent trailer for Watching and Dreaming, Luz will be put in even further guilt as she appears to be living in her worst nightmare by essentially being Bellows. With this in mind, there are 2 possible ways for how her arc will end. In order to defeat Bellows for good, either someone from Luz's family or her friends make the sacrifice play, or Luz sacrifices herself. In my opinion, I'm leaning towards the latter because in that scenario, Luz would relieve the guilt that she had in her terms, believing that she would redeem herself. But the twist in this scenario is that Luz will come back to life somehow. Maybe while in a state of purgatory, Luz will see how much everyone in the Boiling Isles wishes for her to come back. And when she sees this, she will realize that she was never a burden to anyone. This would then make her choose to go back to the world of the living and reunite with her family and friends, finally free from her guilt and fully understood by those she loves. Considering this is something similar to what happened in Amphibia and Disney allowed that to air, I can definitely see the Owl House at least use a similar plotline for Luz. I mean, there are a lot of plot elements that these shows share, which is something worth discussing at another time. Besides Luz, however, there are other characters who are likely to experience this pseudo-death. For instance, I can definitely see King get killed as he goes into battle, potentially against the Collector or even Bellows himself, assuming the Titan possession theory turns out to be correct. However, Disney has an unspoken rule with their cartoons that a child cannot die, at least permanently, which is why characters like the Calamity Trio and Sprig and Amphibia bounce back from certain death, and why I expect Luz to do the same. This rule also applies to King as well, and to Amity, Willow, Gus, and Hunter as a matter of fact. These characters also have a chance of facing a pseudo-death, especially considering the first scenario of how Bellows gets defeated is still on the table. But again, since they are kids, they have to come out alive in some way. So for these characters overall, anticipate them to have moments that will leave you and me in shock, but odds are they will be fine in the end. Last but not least, however, there are also the wildcard characters. In my opinion, these characters are especially up in the air regarding whether they will be killed off, go through a pseudo-death, or just be fine in the end. In this category, there are at least 3 characters that come to my mind, which are Ida, Rain, and Camila. Ida is in this category because of how close she has been to being killed off in the 2 previous season finales. In the end of season 1, Ida was nearly petrified but got saved by Luz. In the season 2 finale, she nearly got consumed by her curse and the draining spell, but was saved by Rain ripping off her arm. Kind of a brutal way to save someone, but if it works, I guess. So with this in mind, Ida may have ran out of luck by this point, or maybe not, which is why she is a wild card when it comes to this question. When it comes to Rain, the reason why they are in this wild card category is because of Bellows' possession. We know that Belos consumes the flesh of any being he possesses, and Rain will get significant scars that at the very least will weaken him, and at worst, ultimately kill him. It nearly happened to Hunter, but he was thankfully saved when Flapjack sacrificed his life in thanks to them. Then there's Camila. Admittedly, out of all the characters I have mentioned so far, she is actually the least likely character to experience a death, fake or not. But I'm bringing her up here in this wildcard category because if she were to bite the dust, then it would be a very easy choice for Luz to stay in the Boiling Isles for good, which I mentioned is a possibility back in a previous video regarding whether Luz will stay or leave the Demon Realm. Also, it's worth noting that Camila was barely shown at all in the recent trailer, so that is somewhat concerning to me. Still, I don't think she will bite the dust, but it's worth bringing up nonetheless. So yeah, those are my thoughts on who might not make it to the end. Do you agree, or do you think these characters will make it out alive unscathed? Or are there other characters who might also be on the chopping block? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe for more content like this. Also, thanks again to those who support this channel through YouTube memberships, along with everyone else who watches these videos. Anyways, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. I hope you all have a great day. See you in the next one.